The cage, a bloody mess, getting worked on right now. And while they do that, we'll tell you about our next bout. It's a lightweight bout at 155. It's the always entertaining and experienced Nick Haymaker Baker, 6-16. That's right, but don't let that record fool you. He is outstanding and has fought some really tough guys against another tough guy in Damien Hamlin out of Middlesboro, Kentucky at 3-5.
This is the one I've been waiting on, man. These guys are so well matched. This is an excellent bout, and I'm very excited because both will throw for the fences. Both have improved ground skills, and look for both of them to start taking that next step. They have upside down records, but they really don't show the improvement and the abilities of these two young competitors.
Well, Nick Baker is, it could be that maybe Nick Baker makes the jump to the professional at some point and makes that transition. Some maybe don't think that's the right move for him, and maybe he should continue to try to improve in the amateur ranks. What do you think about a decision like that?
Well,
gentlemen, we're going to get this cleaned up real quick, and we have one more fight before we're going to take a quick intermission.
I think in the case of Nick Haymaker Baker, there are a lot of fights that he could, potentially be very competitive in professional. And I'll say this. In his last few losses, they were very close losses. And then, of course, he came back in Newport and secured that last victory in his last outing. So he is on an upswing here. So, I think that this fight will be a very good indicator of what we will see in the future out of Nick Baker and really out of Damien Hamlin as well.
In case you think about it, and I'm sure you can't name too many amateur fighters that have double-digit fights. Yeah. Nick Baker is 22.
I can't name too many fighters in his weight class that haven't fought Nick Baker.
Right,
here at
the
Valor fights. Almost everybody has fought Nick Baker, and those fights listed here, those are just his mixed martial arts fights.
Right.
He's also had a tremendous amount of kickboxing bouts as well.
He said about that topic, he said that I'm not going to take fights as often nor half as often. I will be well trained and prepared for all my pro fights. The ones who doubt me can just sit back and watch me succeed. So that sounds like a guy that he has made the decision that maybe after this fight he's going to go pro.
I certainly, it certainly looks as though it may happen. I think he'll be a tremendous professional fighter as well.
Fought a lot of talented guys, the best of the best, and he said that, he said, quote, I had barely any ground game skills at first, and now I feel like my ground game is smooth and powerful wrestling that is still improving. He's a guy that obviously with a nickname like Haymaker loves to throw, but he needed that ground game improvement to round out his game, right?
That's true. There are a handful of those fights that he essentially gave away. He was winning. He was landing big shots and throwing really well, and then he got caught with a silly submission that he wouldn't get caught in today.
So this will be our next bout. It's a lightweight bout at 155. Nick Haymaker Baker from Morristown, Tennessee, 6-16, an independent fighter at 5'11", the 24-year-old. Last fight, we'll run through some of Nick Baker as they're doing some extra work on the cages. It was a bloody mess from our last bout, but Nick Baker, his last bout was a win over Eric Lance. That was at Apex Fights 9. That was via stoppage on strikes in only 32 seconds. So a quick win the last time out for Nick Baker. Also, Nick Baker had a loss to Randy Stamey. He was on the Valor Fights 30 card, and that was at Apex Fights 2, a unanimous decision loss there with a title on the line. Also lost to Nick Gertz, another very talented KMAA fighter out of Volunteer Brawl via triangle choke. So he's fought some unbelievably talented fighters, the best of the best. All right, to the cage, Jennifer Oxendine.
Our next bout of the evening is brought to you by Stillhouse Tavern, Valor's official after party. This bout is in the lightweight division. First, please welcome to the cage, Nick Baker.
Nick Baker, the 24-year-old from Morristown, Tennessee, rumored to be his last amateur fight. Boy, with a nickname like Haymaker, you know he loves to slug it out. Best performance of 2015 might have been in a questionable, controversial loss to Sawyer Richmond. He questioned that and thought he won that fight and was terrific. You could see the improvements in his game, and he is by far the most experienced amateur on the Valor roster. Formerly a team member of the Newport Combat Club alongside Trevor Wilds, and he's cross-trained at D-Evil and Bushido MMA in the past as well. Nick Haymaker Baker, who may turn pro after this fight, and you might see him April 29th back here in Knoxville, or possibly in May as well. And because he is so entertaining, loves to slug it out, he is looking for his 6th Fight of the Night award. I mean, think about that. He's had a lot of fights, but 6 Fight of the Night awards. He always entertains the crowd. He's also the Facebook fan vote pick by the fans on Facebook. Nick Haymaker Baker and Damien Hamlin. We'll tell you about Hamlin in just a moment. Baker's in the cage. Back to the cage and Jennifer Oxendine.
And his opponent, put your hands together for Damien Hamlin.
Damien Hamlin, 3-5 out of third-degree MMA in Middlesboro, Kentucky, 5'7", 22-year-old. Tell us about Hamlin, Casey.
Man, Hamlin is another one that is very enjoyable to watch because he does throw those hands and he has improved ground skills. Just a tough-edged kid, man, a lot like Nick Haymaker Baker. That's why I'm so excited about this fight, because neither of these two have any quit in them, and both have suffered losses recently, but they weren't absolute defeats, if that makes any sense.
Take a look at the tail of the tape. Baker, 22 fights in his amateur career. Hamlin has been very busy. He's only 22 years old, as you can see, 2 years younger than Baker. A lot of fights early in these young guys' career. Baker 4 inches taller and then weighed in about 7 pounds heavier, as this is a lightweight bout at 155 is what it was scheduled, but Baker comes in over, Casey.
Yeah, well, you know, it's going to be interesting. I think both these guys, frame-wise, are very similar in build. I don't know that weight's going to make too much of a difference. Now, the haircut of Nick Baker this time, that it looks like he's pulled the bleach out for this one. A new look for Nick Haymaker Baker. Possibly a new generation for Nick Haymaker Baker as well here.
Damien Hamlin originally wanted to take up boxing, but ended up in MMA and is a teammate of Ben Rowland. Started training in 2012, so as a teen. And Baker will be the toughest fight yet for Hamlin. Back to the cage and Jennifer Oxendine.
This bout is scheduled for 3 3-minute rounds. First, fighting out of the Hog's Red corner, he weighed in at 160 pounds, holds a record of 6 wins and 16 defeats, and fights out of Morristown, Tennessee. Put your hands together for Nick Haymaker Baker. And his opponent, fighting out of the OEB blue corner, he weighed in at 153 pounds, holds a record of 3 wins and 5 defeats, and fights out of third-degree MMA in Middlesboro, Kentucky. Give it up for Damien Hamlin. Your referee for this fight is Jimmy Neely.
All right, batten down the hatchets. We've got a haymaker and a hammer inside the Valor cage right here.
Nick Baker in the black trunks and blue hair. Damien Hamlin in the black and green trunks. 3 3-minute rounds, lightweight bout at 155. Jimmy Neely, our referee, with the final instructions, touch of the gloves.
Yeah, not difficult to tell the difference between these two.
Baker starts out on one knee and we're underway.
Look at that, right out of the gate. Nothing new for Nick Haymaker Baker.
Hands down.
And this is already a fight. Hamlin looking to take it to the ground with a nice trip there, landing in the butterfly guard of Nick Haymaker Baker.
Hamlin has lost 2 straight, Matt McKenna and Chris Barrier.
You know, and that was a fight when Hamlin fought against McKenna that he wanted to be on the feet. It was McKenna that took it to the ground. This time, it's Damien Hamlin looking for the takedown, securing it, but Haymaker back up to the feet.
Baker sprawls.
And this is a tough position here. Nick Baker looking to take the back.
Got the hand separation, did
Yes.
Hamlin. Going for the arm here?
Very technical work here. We expected a brawl up on the feet. We're getting a grappling match here tonight.
Baker up against the cage.
Yep.
If he tries to posture up here.
Yeah, Baker doing a very, very
Yep.
good job. He ends up in mount position. This is a tough spot for Damien Hamlin right here. Nick Haymaker Baker delivering a lot of hard shots here from the mount. Hamlin still moving a lot, but a lot of those getting through. Look at Haymaker possibly looking to slide off and take that arm bar. But he chooses to stay on top in rear mount position.
Look at all the blood on the mat from our previous bout. Unbelievable. And
A lot of patience by both of these fighters. It's tough to be underneath that rear mount control on bottom when you're Hamlin, but he's handling it well. Likewise, it's easy for Baker to jump off and do something crazy, but those were two hard shots there. Those were big shots.
And Neely almost stopped
those
it.
are getting through. This fight could end really quick here if Hamlin is not able to get out.
At least Hamlin was working to try to
Yes.
get out of it. It wasn't just covering up.
Exactly, and look, Nick Baker again, he turns and secures that rear mount position, sinks those hooks in really tight, staying good and low. Wow.
Jimmy Neely was close to stopping it on the last flurry by Baker.
You know, we talked about it. Haymaker Baker making a good case for that pro turn here. Tim Loy obviously looking on.
Nick Baker looking for his 6th Fight of the Night award. And a win would be a great way to do it.
Here we go. All right. Back on top is Damien Hamlin.
Final seconds of round 1. Hammer trying to hammer
Looking
down.
for the triangle here.
Not enough time.
Yep, out of time. You know, I'm going to definitely have to give that one to the Haymaker, man. For the first time, he actually really dominated the grappling in this first round. I mean, truly dominated position and looked excellent. Props to Damien Hamlin, though, for surviving it. I thought we were going to have just a straight Pier 6 brawl. We've not seen that yet. We've seen a technical outing. Let's see what happens moving into that second round.
What do you think of the cross training at D
here
Evil
we
and
go.
Bushido MMA?
Oh, it's definitely good.
Yeah.
And look at this. Again, you see Nick Haymaker Baker getting through with a lot of those hard shots. Hamlin fighting courageously to defend, bucking and trying to avoid it, but a lot of those got through. I know it was no fun for Damien Hamlin here in the first round.
But Hamlin was able to survive because you mentioned the bucking. He was working, he turned, he tried to posture up. A lot of guys will just sit there and cover up, and that's going to get you a quick
Yeah,
stop.
and keep in mind, this fight is not over yet. You know, I mean, moving into the second round, both of these guys are known for having staying power, taking it into deep waters. So I'm anxious to see what happens here. And Haymaker Baker with the takedown.
He is determined to show off those wrestling skills.
Taking a page out of the Hammers book here.
Lightweight bout, 3 3-minute rounds. We're in round number 2, just underway. Vince Ferrara and Casey Oxendine.
Hamlin with the open guard here, looking to secure something. He really can't get his hips mobile enough to set up anything as far as a submission, but he is, for the time being at least, keeping Haymaker Baker at bay and looking for that sweep. That was a pretty attack there.
And Hamlin's throwing from the bottom, too. He's connected on a couple of shots from the bottom. And
well, it's definitely good to stay active. He's not going to get anywhere, though, until he gets off of the bottom. As far as the striking situation, obviously he can secure a submission, but Nick Baker definitely lining up well, securing the hips. And oh, here we go, here we go, here we go. A sweep into the mount position. Hamlin landing hard shots here. And he ends up on the back of Nick Baker.
wow, this could be
That was in the blink of an eye, Vince.
unbelievable.
Looking for the armbar here. And that one, it appears as though that one's going to cost him. Maybe not here. Pulling for all with all he's got here, trying to secure an armbar. Such an exciting fight here.
Wow. Goes full mount, now
yeah,
raining
back
down.
into mount position.
Baker.
Now, if I'm in Hamlin's corner, I'm going to say cool off a little bit, man. He had a good position before. He kind of wasted it looking for an armbar. Cool it off a little bit. Ride it out. Take this second round and see if you can get the finish.
And then Baker
and
back.
another reversal. Wow.
And now more shots raining down by Baker. That almost looked like a headbutt by Baker.
These guys are using a tremendous amount of energy here.
Two of the 3 wins by Hamlin in his career via rear naked choke. He ends up in that position at some point.
Yeah, both of these men have been in the rear mount position. Both have had good rides. Neither have been able to put away their opponent. I'm very impressed with this fight and the versatility and the transitions. I'm really enjoying this a whole lot. Now, that being said, if they stood it back up and started the throw, I would welcome that as well.
Haymaker versus Hamlin, and it's on the mat. Who knew? And boy, Haymaker had that right cocked, ready to go, and couldn't.
And here we
unleash
go.
it.
And now Haymaker again advances to mount. Hamlin sits up against the cage.
It bought him a few seconds.
Yep. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna. That second round was very close. I think though. I tend to give it to Nick Baker because I believe he landed more strikes, but then you got all that ride time that Damien Hamlin had here in the second. It's very close. First round, Nick Haymaker Baker. The second round is up in the air in my estimation.
Unbelievable. You saw multiple reversals. You saw submission defense. You saw a little bit of everything in that round.
You see Nick Baker over here almost like collapsing off of the stool, just resting there. You know, and I know he's still got plenty left at him. There we saw that armbar attack. Nick Baker defending very well there. And then, again, Hamlin advancing back on into the mount position. That might very well have swayed the judges in the direction of Damien Hamlin, but that was only a small clip of that second round. It was very back and forth.
During that stretch where Hammer was controlling it, you said maybe he's in a little bit too much of a hurry, maybe ride that thing out. If he rides it out, maybe some of that, what happened late in the round, doesn't happen, and maybe Hammer clearly wins that round.
Right, a little more riding time in one of these positions because they're back and forth so much. The guy that can last a little bit longer in those positions will probably score the round.
Third round underway. We'll see if we get more stand-up in this third and final round.
Yeah, they may be tired of grappling now. Here we go, back and forth. This fight has certainly delivered, has it not, Vince?
It has. Strong leg kick by Hamlin from that stand-up as we're 20 seconds into round number 3.
All right. Hamlin has that single leg. I like the head to the inside here. In mixed martial arts, you need to keep it to the inside. If not, you can end up with your opponent on your back. That being said, Haymaker Baker on top in crossbody position here. And that's, look at this, being very patient, sitting back, relaxing, taking his time. He knows that he still has a little over 2 minutes in this round. Take your time.
He almost had that full mount, but Hamlin was able to defend it.
Yep, back into closed guard of Damien Hamlin.
Oh, shot to the body,
Yeah,
then to the
that was a
head.
hard shot.
Man.
You can see it in the eyes of Damien Hamlin. So far, fight of the night, hands down. It's tremendous action.
If that holds, and you're going to stand this up, interesting. Jimmy Neely stood him up. Then Baker charged. He got another
Look at
takedown.
that character, man. He's all over it, wasting no time at all.
Folks, that's not the blue hair. That's the way Nick Baker always is. Hamlin's got to do something here. He's already lost one round.
I think so, and it could be that he lost the second as well.
Right.
If I were in his corner, I would be telling him to look for the finish. We got to find a finish. Let's stand back up. Even if you get knocked out here, give it your best try because you can't take it off of your back here. Not at this stage.
Got a minute left here in this third and final round.
Nick Baker controlling that underhook with his left arm, controlling the half guard position, and essentially can coast out the remainder of this fight. And the ball is in the court of Damien Hamlin here to get back up. But that being said, Haymaker Baker continues to strive forward.
Only one decision in Damien Hamlin's career. That was a loss to Dustin Ray. It's the only time he's gone.
Here we go, back to the feet. What are we going to get last 30 seconds of the fight?
Hamlin better be ready. There it is.
Big shots there by Nick Haymaker Baker.
Well, no fear from Baker whatsoever. Final seconds of this round and this fight. Looks like this is going to go to the judges' scorecards as Baker takes a shot from Hamlin. Oh.
Hamlin gave it his best shot right there. What a strong finish by both competitors. But it looks like Haymaker Baker, in my estimation, he's going to take it and possibly move on to a pro career.
You'd give him that third round?
I give him the third round, of course.
All right.
Yeah.
Casey is going to talk to our winner. Actually, you're going to hear from Casey with some interviews coming up in just a little bit. But this one is going to go to the judges' scorecards. Nick Haymaker Baker from Morristown and Damien Hamlin. And boy, you can see it. Baker is just exhausted as he is bent over. What a performance by both of these guys. Casey, take us to the replay here.
Absolutely. Well, you saw the separation here. Hamlin's still walking it off. Here comes Nick Haymaker Baker. Goldberg spear takes down the hammer, gets into position, and in my estimation, that was just icing on the cake.
Is the referee, does he need to wait a certain amount of time for both guys to pay attention, or
I don't know
as long
if
as you separate it?
He says fight, you better fight. You better
Right.
turn around and pay attention to what's going on. Get Goldberg speared across the cage, if you know.
So in what could be the final amateur fight for Nick Haymaker Baker, his 23rd of his amateur career, as you could see the 24-year-old turn pro, and maybe see him back at the next Knoxville event at the Knoxville Civic Coliseum. That's coming up April 29th. And that's it. OEB presents Valor Fights 32, Fighting for Autism. It's going to be a huge, huge show, and Baker may be a part of that, or perhaps in May as well. It could be a fight of the night as well after this one, going to the judges' scorecards. Back to the cage, and Jennifer Oxendine for our decision.
After 3 rounds, we go to your judges' scorecard for decision. All 3 judges score this fight 30-27. For your winner, out of the Hogs red corner, Nick Haymaker Baker!